Does Dan have a copy? Or does he need a copy? Okay.
Yeah, you can have. Well, good morning, everybody. I am Mayor Brian Merle, Mayor of the City of Saline, and I'm delighted to welcome you here to our Tax and Finance Town Hall, which seems applicable and appropriate since April is Financial Literacy Month. This is actually, I think, our first town hall of the 2025 calendar year. We'll be doing several others. In fact, I talked to our great county treasurer just yesterday, and we hope to hold another one of these specific events either later this spring or in early summer. Before we dive into the presentation, I do want to do a few introductions. I'll turn it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves in just a moment. In the audience today, we are joined by Mayor Pro Tem Janet Dillon, along with our great library director who just walked in. After introductions, I will go over a couple preliminaries, including the format for today's program. But first, let me turn it over to our acting city manager to introduce herself. Then I'll turn it over to our city treasurer and then county treasurer. Sharp, if you'd like to introduce yourself and your team and give a little bit of background, we would appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Morrow. Good morning and welcome. Today we're delving into a journey of tax dollars, how they traverse our government systems to fund the services and infrastructure that underpin our daily lives. From local amenities to county-wide initiatives, understanding how this flow is crucial for informed civic engagement. We're honored to have several esteemed guests with us today, including members of the Washtenaw County government, especially Keisha Sharp from the Treasurer's Office, and our local dedicated officials. Your presence underscores the collaborative spirit that drives our community forward. To guide us through this finance exploration, please join me in welcoming our expert and presenter, Sarah Finch.
Sarah, you want to give a little bit of background about yourself, and then I'll turn it over to Letitia to introduce herself and her team?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Finch. I'm the treasurer here for the City of Saline, which is quite recent. I've only been here a couple of months, but it's been a lot of fun diving in. I've been in municipal finance for about 10 years with an area fire department previously and a different city before this. So I'm excited to be here and just give an overview of how this works for our property owners.
Very good. Treasurer?
And I am excited also to be here with our partners here in Saline. My name is Letitia Lamel Sharp. I am the newly elected county treasurer. I was elected in this past November, and I'm excited to serve in this seat. I have 36 years of experience in county government, and we're here today just to shed some light on what the county treasurer's office does. And in the spirit of Financial Literacy Month, we know that it's very important when it comes to property taxes to make sure that taxpayers have the information they need. Today I have with me our tax specialists, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Good morning. My name is Jaco Gelderloos. I'm a property tax specialist with the County Treasurer's Office and been with the office for 25, 26 years. So.
My name is Dan Saltiel, a property tax specialist with the County Treasurer's Office, and I have been in that position for about 15 years.
Thank you.
Good, excellent, very good. Well, we are so delighted to co-host this event with the County Treasurer's Office. They do a phenomenal job. I've gotten to know our County Treasurer over the past probably year and a half to 2 years. I'm very impressed with her record in public service, and I know that she and her team will continue to do a phenomenal job serving and representing the citizens of Washtenaw County. I'm going to turn it over to our City Treasurer in just a moment. This is really a crash course, as I said in my quote that was contained within the press release announcing this event. You're going to really know, at the conclusion of this morning's event, you're really going to know everything in regards to property tax assessing, billing, tax payments. You're going to get a little bit of information about the city's budget, and then we're going to transition nicely to allow the county treasurer to talk about their responsibilities and some of the programs and initiatives that they offer to the citizens of Washtenaw County. We will, at the conclusion of the remarks today, take questions and comments from those in the audience, as well as those who are participating remotely. So I will excuse myself from the dais. At the conclusion of the remarks, I'll be reading along with Ben Goodman the questions that are provided to us from those who are participating remotely. We strongly encourage those of you who are watching the video at home to share this with your friends and neighbors. The information that's contained within the presentations and PowerPoints today is applicable not only to city residents but township residents and quite frankly business owners and property owners, residents who live throughout Washtenaw County. So I think you'll find the information very informative, and we look forward to your questions and comments at the end of this morning's presentation. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our City Treasurer, Sarah Finch.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Mayor Merle said, I just want to give a general overview about property assessment and taxes here at the local level and what that process looks like just from the very beginning. So we all understand that there are costs associated with the administration of government taking care of our great city. So the purpose of property assessment is to ensure that we are distributing those costs in the most fair and equitable way. Now, I am not an assessor, but I will certainly speak to this. The responsibilities of an assessor include identifying all of our properties and assigning a classification to them. Are they real property or personal property? Are they taxable? Should they be exempt? Those are all questions that they ask and identify early in their process. And from there, they create a detailed inventory that lists all of those factors. It also includes what we call a legal description. You'll see that on your assessment notice and your tax bill. That's important for you as a property owner. It gives all the things like the location and characteristics of your property. From there, they assign a value to that property based on many market factors. And I always like to make the statement that all work that's done in assessing and all of those factors are standardized and statutory. So they are done in a uniform way across properties. This is an annual process of updating the assessment roll, and after that work is complete, property owners are notified each year of any changes related to their property. That's what's called your assessment notice, and you receive that early in the calendar year. From there, you're able to move through an appeal process if you feel that your property was not valued correctly. We call those the Board of Review, and that meets 3 times during March, July, and December every year. I would note that March is the most critical if you wish to contest your value, as we want to get that taken care of as early as we can before we go to the creation of a tax roll. Should you wish to appeal your property value, you always want to start with your local assessor. They can do what they can to direct you there. If they can't help you, they would move you to the March Board of Review. And then from there, you would go on to what we call the Michigan Tax Tribunal, which is at a state level to address that appeal. Excuse me. Oh, goodness. There we go. Once the assessor completes this process and we're through the Board of Review, that database is turned over to me as the treasurer and my staff, and we create a tax database. This has all of those values that were determined by the assessor, and then we enter all of the millage rates, which are your actual tax rates. And those come from an assortment of things, most importantly being a vote of the people. Next, some of them are determined by local ordinances, and then of course there are public acts or state laws that allow us for some of those millage rates to operate. I did include the calculation there at the bottom. I always think it's important to understand where those numbers on your tax bill are actually being calculated from. So that's your taxable value times that millage rate. And my apologies, this image is awfully small, but I did want to show you an actual tax bill and where all of the numbers correlate, and I'm happy to, of course, go over that with individuals when they have specific questions about their own tax bill. But again, your tax bill lists your millage rate, your homestead percentage, that's what we call your principal residence exemption, if you do in fact use that as your primary residence. And of course, it has information up at the top. Your parcel ID number, that's that specific unique identifier that the assessor assigns to your parcel. And then basic information, like if it's the summer or winter tax season, the due date, everything you need to know is included on your tax bill. I want to talk a little bit about the actual money that we at the City of Saline collect here. We collect on behalf of 6 taxing authorities outside of ourselves as the city. So when you're looking at your total tax bill, only about 26% of the money you're paying in your property taxes remains here with us at the city for our general operations. The remainder goes to our Saline Area School District, the Washtenaw Intermediate School District, the Washtenaw Community College, Michigan State for our education tax. Washtenaw County, of course, receives a portion for county operations and their initiatives, and then our Saline Library as well. I like to make this note because these are separate taxing authorities that we act as a fiduciary for. We simply collect these funds and then disperse them on That 26% of your tax funds that stay here with us at the City of Saline are used for all of the services that you've come to know or see. Police, fire, road maintenance and improvements, our parks and recreation programs, rubbish collection, and of course our general government operations that we actually administer here at City Hall to keep everything running like a well-oiled machine. I included this as well in case it's helpful for our residents. We have a few different ways you can pay your tax bill. We do have our 2 drop boxes that are in the City Hall parking lot and then the East Henry Street parking lot. And we do have a new drop box that is in the vestibule here of City Hall. It's labeled as a ballot box, but you're always welcome to use that as well for tax bill and water bill payments and anything you need to get to us here at the city. Finally, I just wanted to talk a little bit about if you're experiencing a hardship and struggling to make payments for your property tax bill. There are several different things we can do for you here. There is a property tax deferment program. There are very specific requirements to be eligible for that, and I'm happy to speak to those if anybody has specific questions, excuse me. You are welcome to make partial payments here at City Hall throughout the tax year. They would still incur a penalty when it's past the due date, but we're happy to work with you on that if we can break those payments up for you throughout the tax year before we reach the deadline and they're turned over to the county treasurer's office. And there are a couple of exemption programs for disabled veterans and what we call a poverty exemption. Again, they're very specific guidelines, but our assessor here is happy to speak with you if you think you might qualify. From there, should you struggle to make your payments and you can't do so by the absolute due date at March 1st, we turn our delinquent roll over to the county treasurer's office and they actually take ownership from there. So I think this might be an appropriate time to pass it over so we can let Ms. Sharp speak.
Okay. So from the county level, I'm just going to share a couple things about what we're going to talk about today.
My apologies.
Oh, that's okay. I want to talk a little bit about the role of the county treasurer and the property tax process. The local office has just shared how they handle it at the local level, and then we'll talk about what happens when it comes to the county level. Then we're going to share a delinquent tax property tax line, and then some of the county programs and services and resources that we have at the county level. I brought along with me some stats for the city of Saline that I thought was just fun to share. And then I'll leave you with some contact information from our office. The Washtenaw County Treasurer's Office, we serve the entirety of Washtenaw County. So that covers all of the cities, townships, and villages across Washtenaw County. In addition to that, we are the county treasurer for 350,000 residents here in Washtenaw County. And so our span is much larger, but we partner with all of our local units so that we can make sure that we are here for them. The role of the county treasurer is established and authorized by the Michigan Constitution and serve as the county's banker and chief investment officer. The county treasurer is responsible for collection of funds that come into the county, and we manage the county's investment portfolio, and always keep in mind that our main job is to safeguard county funds as they come in. The county treasurer's office also issues dog licenses and kennel licenses and certifies deeds and manages foreclosure prevention programs. In addition to collecting the monies, the treasurer's office is responsible for paying out the bills that come into the county and receiving the funds, and again, keeping the county resources safe. We don't do this work alone. The county treasurer works collaboratively and in partnerships with other municipalities across the county. First, we work with the voters and the people, the public. We consider ourselves a treasurer for the people, and that includes everyone in Washtenaw County. We work alongside county commissioners, local township and city officials, state legislators, elected and appointed officials, the courts, county departments, road commission, and then we serve as one of the 5 countywide electeds across the county, which includes the county clerk register, prosecuting attorney, the sheriff's office, and the water resource commissioner. I'm going to turn it over to Jaco now to talk a little bit about property taxes.
All right, so as Treasurer Finch mentioned, on March 1st of the year following the year your tax bill is issued, those taxes become delinquent and become the responsibility of the county treasurer's office for collection. So how exactly does that work? Can you, one more? Thank you. So again, on March 1st, the county's Treasurer's office becomes the agency that starts collecting these taxes. So in this case, Treasurer Finch would roll over her taxes to our office, which we then load into our system and start collecting on. So part of that process involves a settlement with the city treasurer to see exactly how much is owed to the city for each of the individual taxing entities. The county treasurer makes the city whole for that, as well as the school district, the library, et cetera. And we then take on the responsibility of collection because we've taken out bonds to pay the city treasurer and everybody else. That delinquent tax revolving fund needs to be made whole, so we pursue collection for the next year. Then a year after taxes become delinquent, so on March 1st of the year after they go delinquent, these properties go into forfeiture. And what that means is that a lien is recorded and it's the start of the tax foreclosure process, which is pretty serious and could ultimately result in people owning or losing their property. So in a timeline, could you click the next one? So this is basically a timeline that shows you what happens to 2024 taxes. So on March 1st of this year, these taxes rolled over delinquent. At that point, we charge a 4% admin fee and interest starts accruing at 1% interest per month. So on an annual basis, that's 12% interest. On October 1st, a 15% or $15 charges added on to cover some of the searches that we do. So we identified mortgage companies so that we can notify them later on in the process. The following month, November 1st, we generate what's called a pre-forfeiture list, which is kind of something that the law states that we have to do. It's really not a consequential thing, but we have to have it. And then later on, by February 1st, we have to notify the mortgage company. That timeline doesn't quite cover the other things we do behind the scenes. So over that first year, we issue 5 different notices to property owners to notify them that they have delinquent taxes. The first one goes out as soon as we load the delinquent information in March or April. Then we send another one in June. In August, September, we send one that is a statutorily required notice. We send another one in November, and then in January, we send the required certified mail notice, which involves notification of the mortgage holders as well. So as I said, the following year, property goes into forfeiture, and that involves not only a lien being recorded, but also $255 in statutory fees getting added, and interest retroactively increasing to 1.5% per month. So that first year of delinquency initially had 12% interest, it now has 18% interest, so that is quite a hefty increase. From there on, June, we generate a petition to the court to start a foreclosure case with the courts, and we add a $40 visit fee to each property that is still in forfeiture at that time to fund the property visits that we do over the summer. In addition to that property visit, over the summer and the following months, we also do title research to notify additional holders of interest, and we create a publication file that is published in the Washtenaw Legal News in December to further notify property owners that their property is in danger of tax foreclosure. Then in January, by and large, we have a show cause hearing where property owners can appeal to the county treasurer's office to ask for an extension, to file an appeal to say, hey, my property description isn't right or these taxes aren't right, and then we handle those on a case-to-case basis. 2-3 weeks later, we go in front of the judge for our foreclosure hearing, and any property that is on a foreclosure list that we submit to the judge at that point is in danger of tax foreclosure if not paid by the following March 31st. When that rolls around, property becomes owned by the county treasurer through the tax foreclosure process, and we start the process of getting the property ready for a property auction over the summer. Due to a recent change in the law, property owners can now file a notice of intent to claim remaining proceeds. And so if a property is foreclosed on but sells for more than what was originally owed in taxes and interest, at that time, they can actually claim the remaining proceeds, so get some of the money back that they can conceivably lost through the tax foreclosure. I think it's important to note that we do not take this process lightly. Tax foreclosure is a serious matter. We do not want to foreclose on people. We do not want to take the property. So throughout this whole process, from delinquency through foreclosure, we pride ourselves on doing extensive outreach to property owners, connecting with them by phone, by mail, by email, however we can, to find ways to work with them to generate partial payments, to do whatever we can to help them retain their property, maintain their housing, et and I'll pass it on to Dan to illustrate some of the programs that we are involved with.
So you were the stats.
Oh, you have? I'm sorry. The next slide. So these are some stats for the city of Saline to kind of indicate how Saline fits into all of that. Again, these are fairly small print, but by and large, of the annual unpaid property taxes that we take on as a county, city of Saline takes up about 1% to 2%. So, for example, in 2023, there were 69 delinquent parcels in Saline out of a total of just over 5,100 in the county. After a year of those properties in the city of Saline, there's just a handful left. Again, 1% or 2% of the total in forfeitures. None of those properties that were in forfeiture in the city of Saline ultimately went into tax foreclosure in recent years. So, looking good for the city of Saline, really. And, you know, there's some other statistics that are helpful, but so I'll pass it on to Dan for some of the outreach programs.
Yeah, so Treasurer Finch kind of mentioned a few of these things that are available at the local level. So the first thing is poverty exemption. So every city and township is required to have an application for lower property taxes based on income. So each year, cities and townships set an income level, a maximum income that a household can have to qualify for lower property taxes. And every city and township is different. They are at least required to have the federal poverty level as their minimum. So I think right now that's just over $15,000 for a household of one, for example. But we have all the applications for each city and township available on our website, and you can also get them from your local city or township assessor. The other thing she mentioned was the property tax deferment. And basically what that does is that gives households that are 62 and older or totally and permanently disabled with an income of $40,000 or less the ability to pay their property taxes with a later deadline without paying interest or fees. So if you get a deferment for your summer and winter taxes, that puts your property tax payment deadline to April 30th of the following year. So for 2024 taxes, for example, the deferment deadline was just this past April 30th. So that's, I think, a lot of seniors, will find that helpful, especially they can use their income tax return, to go towards paying their property taxes. And that leads into the next thing that we like to publicize to people is that there is income tax assistance available for free in the county through several different agencies. United Way of Washtenaw County can provide that if you call 211. There's also programs available through AARP and U of M Housing Bureau for Seniors. And a lot of people don't realize that, a lot of seniors don't realize that they're eligible for an income tax refund even though they're not required to file income taxes. And that's called the homestead property tax credit. So if your household income is less than $68,000 a year, and that's for this past year, you can qualify for a property tax credit of up to $1,800. Basically, it's a calculation using the your income and the property taxes that were charged on your property for that year. And that's a state income tax credit that a lot of people, like I said, are eligible for and may not realize it. So any of those agencies that I talked about before can help you file that for free. And then the last thing is the disabled veterans exemption. And this is an exemption available to veterans who have been identified as being 100% totally and permanently disabled by the VA. So if you do have that, if you've been labeled that by the VA, then you're eligible for this exemption, which means you don't pay any property taxes. So there's several things that we do in our office besides helping with those assistance programs to prevent foreclosure. We do have a 1-year hardship extension that's available, and that's an application that someone can fill out to get a 1-year extension to give them more time to make partial payments and pay on the property taxes. We also have 2 kind of special programs that we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. One is the Home for Generations program, which is a program to assist people that are living in inherited homes go through the probate process to get the property in their name. Because there's a lot of things that you're not eligible for if the property's not in your name. So that process has helped a significant number of people that we've encountered that have been living in inherited homes be able to continue to live there and then also be eligible for those resources that they should be eligible for. And then the last thing we have is a bridge loan program. So this is kind of a special fund for people who are in kind of circumstances where they fell into hard times and were not able to pay their property taxes, but are sustainable going forward. They have the income, they can keep their taxes current going forward, but they have this larger bill that they aren't able to catch up on. And so this is a bridge loan to allow them to get caught up, be able to pay moving forward, and then those funds would revolve back into our loan program once the property was sold.
And I just want to add that these programs and services and resources are not new to the County Treasurer's Office. And that leads us into the third, educational outreach. What we want to do is just make this information more available to the public. So that's why we want to do more town halls. I'm creating something called a Treasurer Tea Time with other treasurers so that we can come together and kind of collaborate with information, do workshops and resources that just help residents understand how their billing works. And then we also want to, I have a newsletter that's going to be coming out from the county level to kind of just let you know what's happening, to be transparent on what we're doing here in the county's treasurer's office. So that's kind of the educational outreach that we're trying to incorporate into our program outreach. And then I keep going back to dog licensing because dogs are part of our family, and we want to keep them safe. And when they're licensed, they're safe, and the public is safe as well. And if they get lost or get torn from the family, we want to make sure they get back. But it's the one thing that folks just don't think about. So I keep it up on the list that we want to make sure that our dogs are safe and that they're licensed. So you'll see some outreach in that area as well. And then, as promised, this is our contact information. We are open 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, closed all county holidays. But we're always there. If you need some support or help or just a question, feel free to contact our office. And we're here to help.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Treasurer Sharp. That was very, very informative, very thorough, very detailed. Before we open up for questions, comments, Acting City Manager Cole, is there anything that you would like to add at this time?
No, thank you so much for kind of explaining what happens to those tax dollars when they leave the city. Hopefully everyone got a good understanding of how everything flows from us into you. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Very good. I did confirm with Ben Goodman, who's running the tech booth this morning, that we do have about a half a dozen people watching. I don't think we have any questions or comments at this point, but we encourage you to type in your questions or concerns if you have them. They'll be read aloud and addressed by the panel here. I would defer to those in the audience. Is there anybody who would like to ask a comment or question? And if you would, I would encourage you to come to the podium to my left and to speak into the microphone and to make sure the green light is illuminated at the base. Don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but I'm going to. Carrie Warla, our outstanding director of the Saline District Library. Is there anything you'd like to add for the record? We do appreciate you being here. I don't know if you wanted to give a plug for the Saline District Library or speak to any aspects of your budget or finance. Again, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'd love to provide you the opportunity if you'd like to do some messaging.
Yep. Thank you. I just want to reiterate what Treasurer Finch had said. A lot of folks don't realize that the Saline District Library is a separate taxing authority from the city and from the school district. So I just appreciate you including that in your presentation to help folks understand that we are kind of separate. And we really appreciate everything that the city and at the county treasurer's office do to help us with that tax allocation and collection process.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Any additional comments or questions from those in the audience? Please come to the podium and speak into the microphone. We welcome your thoughts this morning.
Hi. I just have one question about when you help a citizen get on a payment plan, how long do they have to meet the requirements before the foreclosure process continues?
I would say that depends that's on a case-by-case basis. Some people get on a payment plan where they tell us they can pay X amount per month and then commit to making like a larger payment either somewhere along the line or at the end of it to get things caught up. Sometimes they get on a payment plan that's somewhat longer track, so not necessarily set up to pay off their balance in, like, say, 6 months, but realistically it would make more sense for them to spread it out a little more over maybe a year, sometimes a little more than that. But ultimately, we try and set them up with payment plans that A, they can afford, and B, that will ultimately get them caught up, because there's no sense for people to be on a payment plan that, let's say $100 a month on a $2,000 a year tax bill. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense for anybody, so we try and work with them to set it up to where they have realistic expectations to get caught up, and we impress upon them that doing that is ultimately in their own benefit, because it may hurt right now, but ultimately if you get your taxes caught up, then you're saving yourself interest, you're saving yourself the stress of, oh my God, my property might end up in foreclosure. So it's really on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
We appreciate the question. Please.
Apparently I'm much smaller than the rest of the people. I have a quick question regarding the disabled veterans exemption. So that's a state program. So how are municipalities made whole for those tax monies that they are not receiving? Is the state backfilling that in any way?
Yes, so we report those changes through the 4410 process, which is where our office documents any changes to tax rolls, in our case to prior year's tax rolls, and then report that to the state on a periodic basis, and that is basically how the state makes entities whole for that.
Okay, thank you very much. And then my other question was on dog licenses, because I know it is important. What happens with the fees for that? Are they put back into a general pot? Do they actually go for any kind of animal rescue, park enhancements regarding dogs? Is there anything that those monies are used for?
I don't believe, the dog licensing fees, I believe, go back to supporting the program itself. So we're not in partnerships with like dog parks. Obviously, we support them, but we don't have any jurisdiction over where they are or the fees that they may charge. But it goes back into supporting the program, getting the actual licenses and the tags and things like that. In all honesty, the dog licensing portion of what we do is probably one that needs a little bit more outreach. Because like I said, we all have dogs and they're part of our families, but the outreach and getting dogs properly licensed is very low here in Washington County as a whole.
Thank you very much.
Well, we would love to partner with you on getting more information out about dog licenses. The Mayor Pro Tem and myself are big dog lovers and believe in the importance of getting them licensed. They are part of our family, and we want to make sure that they're protected, we're well cared for, and that we're following the proper procedures and protocols. So look forward to working with your office on that. That's an important one. Mr. Goodman, any additional questions from those participating remotely? Okay, we'll give those who are watching one last opportunity to type in their questions or concerns if they do have them. Again, we would encourage people who are watching online to share this video subsequent to us concluding this morning. I do want to add two things related to the City of Saline. The City of Saline is in the midst of reviewing, and we will ultimately approve a budget for fiscal year 2026, which will begin on July 1 of this calendar year. We will be briefly discussing the proposed budget at our next regular council meeting, which will be this coming Monday, which begins at 7 p.m. And then we'll be having a budget work meeting at our first meeting in May, which I believe is on the May 5th, if I'm not mistaken. We also strongly encourage all city residents, business owners, and interested parties to log on to updates on documents on demand, sometimes referred to as minutes on demand. It's technically documents on demand. You can see copies of all of our council agendas, support material, and minutes, along with material for our Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, Parks Commission, Environmental Commission, etc. We'd also strongly encourage you to check out projects on ClearGov. So as the city treasurer indicated, a large portion of our city financial resources are spent on capital projects, on infrastructure initiatives. So that's roads, bridges, sidewalks. We've talked ad nauseum in recent years about an $80 million rehabilitation to our wastewater treatment plant, which will be the largest capital project in city's history once it's completed at the end of construction season 2027. If you're interested in being kept abreast to progress that's being made on these projects or these issues, please log on to ClearGov. The pages are updated consistently and constantly. It's very thoughtful and thorough information, and it's designed to keep you all in the loop so that there are no surprises when it comes to capital projects, because they can be very disruptive to businesses and to private citizens. So again, log on to ClearGov for updates and also access all of our public information on documents on demand, specifically financial information, budgets, minutes, and agendas for council and all of our various boards and commissions. Before we wrap up this morning, Treasurer Sharp, again, we are so delighted to have you and your staff here. Is there anything you would like to add?
I just want to just let everybody know, we here at the Treasurer's Office are here to support our residents. We're here to help you. We are not in the business of taking anyone's home. Sometimes people think that that's the job of the Treasurer's Office, and it is not, nor has it ever been. If you have any questions regarding delinquent taxes or just property questions in general, feel free to contact our office. We have a great team of, I call them experts. They're a small team, but they are small in number and mighty in work. And they do work around the clock trying to make sure that our staff have the information they need so we can pass it on out to you. We accept payments online, in office, over the phone. We have a great staff there, and I just love opportunities like we have today to be able to partner with our community supports. You know, we're here to support one another. So thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it. Treasurer Finch, Acting City Manager Cole, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up this morning?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Just to reiterate what Treasurer Sharp had said, we're here to support you. So if you have any questions, we're happy to sit down and go over that entire assessment notice with you, your tax bill. We can talk through every line and number on there with you and help you to fully understand that and support you in whatever we can if you're facing any hardships with payments. So.
Very good. I'm going to defer to Ben Goodman one last time. Any questions or concerns that were typed in from those who are viewing remotely? Again, there's a lot of good information shared this morning. So for those of you who are in the audience, those of you who are watching at home, I strongly encourage you to share the video, the recording of this morning's town hall with your friends and neighbors. It's available actually right now on YouTube. We'll be sure to provide you a copy, a link as well, so that you can share it to actually any and all of the constituents in Washtenaw County who may be interested in the material presented herein. So we thank all of you for attending and for watching this morning. And as the County Treasurer indicated, as our City Treasurer and Acting City Manager articulated, if you do have any questions or concerns about any or all of these issues, feel free to reach out. We are a resource here for all of you. We're here to serve you, and we welcome your questions and concerns. Thank you so much.
Thank you.